not sure what happened with my last live stream here, but it's just throttling and throttling. And it was oh my gosh, it was a really good video too. Um, the question I had asked is, what is wrong with being homeless? Business CEO perspective. So I put myself in the shoes of how I viewed a business CEO, and it seems like that the video is getting eaten right now, or it's having a hard time processing. And so I wanted to ask the question then, well, it's in my thumbnail. Should employees be told if they are going to be working for a company that's on Wall Street? So the employees, they may not understand. I know I never thought about it my own self. I never thought about it my own self working in hospitality, that probably a majority of franchise restaurants and franchise hospitality is on Wall Street with the anticipation and expectation of making a profit for the company. And so I'm thinking that, because I remember my daughter, she was saying that they were under a timer. And it was so interesting. This was years and years ago, over 10 years ago, I think. And she said they just couldn't do it. And eventually they took the timer away. But she said they had like a time limit of, I think it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that, to get the fast food window order out when she was doing drive-through. I don't know, she might have been working at Burger King. And she said it was very, very, very stressful for them, and eventually they just took that away. And so I don't know if her company specifically um was on Wall Street, or I don't know if all of them have to be on Wall Street or not. I'm not quite sure. Um I'm not sure how that works. But that's what I was just thinking about. Hello, gangster. But the question I wanted to ask is, because my daughter was put under pressure. She was put under a lot of pressure, and she's consistently been talking about her, that her not having enough employees when she's working. She said that they're always letting go of people. And so in a lot of areas, sometimes you'll have a private mom and pop business, but they simply go out of business frequently. I'm going to show you this here, right here. We'll take a look at this video. Okay, let's see here. This is the one. What is wrong with being homeless? Business CEO perspective. Look, the whole thing, it's throttling. I mean, it's just not processing. It was a good video too. And so what I did was I took on the perspective, and what I said, I explained something in really detail about what goes on with legacy media and how they always want to create the gotcha moment. And so um, and so that's why I titled it, What's Wrong with Being Homeless? A Business CEO Perspective. And so I was kind of talking about that a CEO, or legacy media in that sense, um they always want to take the good guy side. Everybody's heard of good cops, bad cops to varying degrees. I think, haven't you? Haven't we all grown up with that? And so legacy media always wants to take the good guy side. So they don't want their self looking bad. So they never take the um, when they talk about an op-ed, an opposing editorial, they never want to take the opposing side of being the bad guy, because then they'll be frowned upon, or maybe they think they'll be frowned upon. But look what's happening right now. If they just take the good guy side all the time, they are actually losing out, because they're not challenging. They always say that they're challenging bad things in society, but look what's happening to them, because they're not challenging the real nitty gritty of Wall Street. They're not even talking about that they are on Wall Street their own self. And so it takes the politicians right now. I mean, that's what it's taken, a lot of money and politicians to push forward through all of this in order to get the attention of the country related to inflation. And so that's why I asked the question, so for example, most people don't know. I know I didn't. I didn't even think about it. When I went to work for J.C. Penney's, I just thought, it's a store. I didn't think about that they were on Wall Street. I didn't think about that one bit, that they might be on Wall Street. Um, because I just needed a job. All I knew was that it wasn't enough money for me to have a job, to pay my bills. That if I would have, at that time I was getting some alimony from my first husband, and I had child support. The child support was only $134. It wasn't that much. And so I get the thing where the child support creates animosity between husbands and wives, between spouses, companions. I get that. And that's why that's the direct root cause why a lot of men hate women is um, family planning and inflation is weaponized against the American public. I'm going to start using that wording and throw it out. I'm going to throw that out. And I don't mean throw it out as in not use it. I'm going to throw that out into the arena that inflation weaponizes the deterioration and destruction of families and family planning in the United States, and it weaponizes a hatred of men towards their wife, towards their ex-spouses, towards their ex-partners. And, I don't see it any other way. So when they talk about the court system being weaponized, the court system, the family court system, yes, it's weaponized. That most definitely is true. It was weaponized in elections. That's true. It's weaponized with inflation. That's a fact. As prices get harder, things in the United States get harder for all Americans. Life is not supposed to be hard. It shouldn't be hard. Even though there's a lot of geriatrics and older people, even in their 30s and 40s, who've said, oh, life is just supposed to be hard. We got to get used to it. Well, I just don't believe that that has to be true. I just don't believe that that has to be a fact. So, so what do we do with this? What are we supposed to do with this when it falls on deaf ears and nobody's listening? Because I can talk about it till I turn blue in the face, and unless we have a society, oh my gosh, the throttling ended there. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if it finished processing. I wonder if that was the whole deal with that video, because it looks like it finished processing. So it could have, maybe it just got stuck and it'll come through. I don't know. But I am noticing a significant, it's challenging right now to do some things on the laptop, because sometimes I have to click like multiple times just to get just to get something to happen. And one of the bad practices I can see coming out of that is engagement metrics. This is something I need to add in here because it had me thinking about engagement metrics. So if someone decides they start asking for engagement metrics such as tapping on the screen, well, when you're, okay, let's use TikTok for example, because you can tap multiple times to get the heart going up. And then someone could say, oh, look, I've got great engagement. I've got all these people tapping on my screen. So let's use tapping as an engagement metric now. Well, that's a false engagement, because of the fact I can go into TikTok and I can do 250 taps on a video. And I've done it before just because I was bored. I was sitting there listening to the person and just tapping up some hearts. And it tells me right at the top how many taps I do on the screen. So one person can sit there and be tapping on the screen, and they think that they have lots and lots of people who are sending them hearts, which that's not true. Or they'll say, well, my gosh, the algorithm loves me today. They really love me today. But it's one person doing it. It's not an algorithm, it's one person doing it. So if they're just a content creator and they're not out there going through the process as a viewer to see what happens on the viewer's end, then the content creators simply think, you have church in a few minutes? Oh, you're going to church. What time are you going to church? Okay, it is 10:39, so you're probably going to church at 11? Is that what I'm thinking? You're headed to church at about 11 or 11:40 or 10:45? Yeah. Okay, so you like church stuff? Is that what I'm hearing from you, to kind of focus on church things right now? Is that what I'm getting hearing from you, to do some church things? I mean, I like doing church things. I can tell you that right now. Um, I can end the live stream, and I don't know what to. What would you, if I was going to put something in the title of my video? What should I put in? Just church, or I don't know what to put in. Church. I can just put in church for 8/6/2025. I suppose. Put the date in there or something like that. Um, Maybe I'll get more views from that. I can give it a try and see what happens. All right. Well, I'm going to end the stream right now, and hopefully my other video processed. I mean, I like to talk to things about things other than church, but it just keeps me from getting bored about church all the time. So, okay, thanks, gangster, and we'll probably see you soon, or we'll see you floating around out there in the cyberspace.